It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline: IPOB test for President Buhari. Why the new threat should be ignored. The crisis in the southeast region of the country, orchestrated by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, is entering a dangerous phase that will severely destabilize the region and undermine the legitimacy of President Buhari and his government. The indigenous people of Biafra's threat to impose a lockdown on the region for a month if the government fails to produce their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, on the next court hearing date of October 21, 2021, should not be dismissed as usual because it portends serious implications for the government. Although this call may be shot in the dark given government rigidity and lack of tact in handling such issues. However, this particular situation with IPOB is deserving of some creative strategy and different approach because in the end, the government will be the loser. It is like fighting with a man who is already down. Any outcome is a victory for him. It was the same mistake government made with the Islamic movement in Nigeria, IMN, when even though proscribed continued to defy the government until they got their wish, which was the release of their leader, Sheikh El-Zakzaky and his wife. In the end, the government was the loser as it failed to curtail their procession right under its noses in Abuja. As predictable as President Muhammadu Buhari is in handling such issues, he should expect a bloody nose if he sticks to his well-worn path of jackboot tactic of political engagement with dissident groups and agitators. This is a litmus test that will define the integrity, sensitivity, and legitimacy of his government in relation to the Igbo. The indigenous people of Biafra has demonstrated capacity to impose its will and mandate on the region, even in the face of massive deployment of violent force against it. And for several weeks now, the southeast has been on partial lockdown every Monday on the directive of the group, even after it has been apparent called off. It will take a total declaration of war against the group to stop and stifle its threats, and government has proved incapable of enforcing its position over that of IPOB. So, in the end, it is the indigenous people of Biafra's position that will prevail. Even a partial observance of its order is a massive victory. Like Boko Haram, government actions have radicalized the group, which started as a non-violent and no force can stop a people who are ready to die for their cause. Government should be careful of opening another insurgency in the region, which may portend danger for the nation. Government may want to use this as a pretext to destroy Southeast economy, but it should realize that the wealth of the Southeast is not within the region. That is the lesson from the apparent success of indigenous people of Biafra because it is a worldwide movement. Government has not shown moral superiority in dealing with opposition and agitators. You do not break the law to enforce it. That is Machiavellian and has no place in modern democracy for whatever it is worth. Fundamental rights are the foundation of any democracy, and its violation without legitimate cause and opportunity for redress before the court is descent to dictatorship. This behavior by the federal government has been repeated so many times that it is difficult for government to appeal to rule of law as justification for its actions. Kanu, like El-Zakzaky, may have broken the law as defined by government, but they are entitled to a fair trial in this case, which is now the bone of contention, and the right to bail becomes thereof sacrosanct, as may be determined by the courts. Government cannot be a judge and jury. It is the reason we have a separation of powers, Government cannot lock up a citizen indefinitely at its own discretion without the authority of the court. It is even executive rascality for it to defy court decision to release accused persons on bail, as it has done in the case of Colonel Dazuki and Zazaki. Even in the mode of bringing Kanu back to the country, raises serious questions and doubts over government's commitment to the rule of law and justice, because an illegal means cannot produce a legal and just end. As lawyers, we won't say you can't build something on nothing. Obviously, the government has boxed itself into a corner. Bringing Kanu back in the manner it did was a terrible mistake and a strategic failure. What was the strategic objective? It may seem a personal policy success for President Buhari and his minders, but it was a huge political blunder that will dog the administration till it leaves office as long as the trial lasts. The purported damage Kanu was doing to the image of the government abroad will not compare to the political liability it will become to the government going forward, because every court day will be a reminder of the high-handedness and criminal nature of his arrest, trial and treatment, which will further embolden his supporters home and abroad. This is a Pyrrhic victory that only appeals to ego and hubris. This could have been avoided because governments will suffer more bad publicity within in Nigeria facing trial than outside, especially if the indigenous people of Biafra make good the threat. Unfortunately, bringing Kanu to court will be a victory for the IPOB, as its members and other co-travelers and political jobbers will capitalize on the opportunity to further damage the government's image. The IMN has provided a civil template to demonize the government for perceived unjust actions, and the government may have the law on its side, but it does not have the morality and public perception, which are superior to law in the eye of the people. And the analysis says that the crisis in the southeast region of the country needs President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration to check the serious implication for the government to deny Nnamdi Kanu a fair hearing in the next court hearing in October 21, 2021. And the writer is of the opinion that President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration needs to stop making continuous mistakes by making sure that they do not take the threat by the indigenous people of Biafra on the 1 month sit-at-home order if they do not produce Nnamdi Kanu in court on October 21, 2021. Therefore, it is advisable that the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration needs to start to take cognizance that force cannot stop a people who are ready to die for their cause. Therefore, they need to be careful of opening another insurgency in the region, which may portend danger for the nation. The government should not use this as a pretext to destroy the Southeast economy, but it should realize that the wealth of the Southeast is not within the region. And this is the lesson from the apparent success of the indigenous people of Biafra, because it is a worldwide movement, and the government should not show moral superiority in dealing with this opposition and agitators, because you do not break a law to enforce it. Thanks for listening.